Hi everyone, this is Jim. Welcome to this postmortem of my Blitz game number 782. I started off with d4, but we actually transposed into an e4 opening after he played e6. I went e4, the most natural move, and then he played d5, and we've transposed into a French defense. So I went with knight to c3 here, and he played d takes e4. You can see that's the third choice after the classical, and the Winauer variation is known as the Rubinstein variation. I take the pawn. And then he played knight c6. That's a bit of a rare follow-up. The second choice here, bishop d7, leads to the Fort Knox system, which I've mentioned in this video, in the previous video. And then knight d7 is the most common move here. All those are both fine ways to play. Looks like knight c6. The knight there is in the way of the c-pawn, and I think that's a bit of a problem. Let's see. Knight f3 is a standard move here, although we're in a very small portion of the database, but I just thought this was interesting. Knight f3, we actually get to an identical position. Knight f6, bishop d3, bishop e7, and c3. And we've actually transposed into position in the game. I played it in a different move order. I went c3 first, shoring up the center. He went bishop e7, went knight f3, just developing the knight. He went knight f6, and I went bishop d3, and that's the identical position. If we look at this as the book moves take us to this point, but bishop d3 is also the way I played it is also fine. I was looking at it with the chess engine, and it doesn't seem like there was any mistake in playing it in that particular move order, so it's all fine. And the chess engine gives white a pretty big advantage at this point, and it increases. So let's see, we both castle and we're just out of the book. We're already in a pretty rare line in any case. I think my advantage increases because he plays some of these slow moves like h6. My advantage went up a little bit after that. And of course I had to come up with a plan. And I guess my plan was okay. I just decided to start expanding on the queen side. I was thinking, this knight doesn't have many good squares from that location, and maybe I could annoy it by pushing it to an even worse location. He started fighting back, but I can just keep pushing on. He went bishop d7, completing his development, and you can see why the chess engine would love a position like this. Black's position is just completely cramped. All his pieces and pawns are on the third row, and so I have lots of space here. Let's see, so I continued with rook to b1. He went knight to a7, I guess trying to stop me from pushing my pawns forward any further, but now this knight is really offsides and stays offsides for most of the rest of the game, so I think that's what my advantage consists of. Let's see, but still, you have to find moves. So knight c5 seems to be okay. He just dropped his bishop back and defended, so he seems to be playing in a very passive fashion here. Let's see, I played h3. This is to allow me to develop my bishop to f4 and then drop it back to h2 if necessary. It goes b5, so now he's starting to strike back a little bit, maybe create a little space. But it doesn't actually make any particular threats. If he takes the a-pawn, I'll take back with either the queen or the knight, and he'll have a weak a-pawn himself, so he doesn't want to take. So I can just sit on this position and continue. Bishop f4, and he goes knight d5. This was good. Forced my bishop back, but even so, even after that bit of a time waste, chess engine is still giving white a big advantage in this position. So he went c6 here. Knight d5, just keeping on bringing my pieces forward. And, I was wondering how I was going to make progress from here, but he started taking things off, so I guess he kind of got tired of being in a cramped position. I don't think knight to d7 is a big threat here. Yeah, he's still got it defended. But if he doesn't do anything, I am thinking about bringing my pieces out to the king side here and making some threats that way. So anyway, he started out by trading off this knight and then playing f6, kicking the other knight. But this knight can hop into g6. It's a good square for it. And he lifts his rook to the 7th rank to get away from the knight. And then I decided to go ahead and exchange. I was thinking I could create a pawn weakness here by arranging to push the c pawn forward. Let's see. And he took, and then I went rook to e1. I realized there were some problems with the immediate c pawn push, including the queen getting unleashed on the d file might be a problem. I have to be a little bit careful. So I started targeting this weak e pawn here too. Let's see. He went knight to e7. Notice that his knight, by the way, is still sitting in this spot, and now it's looking at his own pieces. It has no moves at all. So clearly I still have a pretty big advantage here. Let's see. He went knight e7. I don't want to trade. It kind of relieves his space disadvantage. And I thought, well, I could target this e-pawn. And this is where things start to get complicated. Although I still have a big advantage here. He goes e5, I took, and he took here. And now I just noticing for the first time that my knight is under fire here. And since this kind of caught me by surprise and I was a little bit low on time, what I didn't realize is that, that my bishop is defending the knight. So simply taking this pawn is still winning for white. The knight is defending the bishop. I mean, my position looks a bit fragile, but everything is kind of held together, and my pieces are a lot more active than his pieces. I can bring my queen to the d file, maybe even e file rather, maybe even triple on the e file, threaten to take some material here. And his knight is out of play, and I'm pawn up too. So this is just a winning position for white. And like I said, I was playing well up to this point, just sort of slowly building my advantage. But at this point, I completely misread the situation. Well, not realizing my knight was defended, I tried some tactical solution, and this gets my bishop out of trouble. I thought I was going to have to move the knight, and my bishop was hanging. So this gets the bishop out of trouble with a tempo. But well, he can take my rook, which he did in the game. Although, looking at it with the chess engine, the way for black to get any kind of advantage into this position is to play rook to f6, just putting pressure on my bishop again. He's now threatening to take the bishop, and the knight is still hanging. And let's see, so bishop back to c2, and then e takes f4, and black has a slight edge. I have. Let's see, do I have a pawn? Yeah, it's funny, the chess engine only gives a slight edge to black. I guess it's because this piece is such a bad piece. If you look at it materially, I'm just down a whole piece, but the chess engine evaluation has white being down about the equivalent of a pawn. So that's how bad black's position is. But, well, anyway, he didn't spot the best move there. Instead played what I was kind of expecting. This is the line I had seen. Rook takes. And in this position, even though he gets two pieces for the rook, I do get a pawn. Takes here, and knight takes here. And all of that was best play. So that was, I mean, there were other moves there, but there were no mistakes in that sequence, starting with rook takes f4 up to this point. And at this point, the dust is cleared, and he has two pieces for a rook. Well, I guess you could say if the bishop's match, he has got the two knights for a rook. But I have an extra pawn, and also his knight is still out of play. It's going to take a few moves to get it into play. And so the net result is that white is still better, even after that kind of complicated sequence there, and being down a couple pieces for a rook. I have enough going on with my better piece activity that I still have the advantage here. Let's see. So he went bishop f5. I continued with g4, kicking his bishop. The bishop went on this kind of weird round trip, but I guess he spotted these squares over here as being a nice place to put his bishop. So I went rook d2, bishop d3. But now the bishop is off. When the bishop was on this diagonal, part of the reason I wanted to kick the bishop was it was guarding the entrance to the 7th rank. It was guarding the d7 square. And now I've chased it around, and this d7 square is open for my rook, so I take advantage of that. He goes ahead and trades off my bishop at this point, and then he pushes on with b4. I guess I didn't quite understand it during the game, but I realize now he's just desperately trying to find a way to get his knight into the game. So a reasonable decision. The chess engine did not criticize this, but now I'm 2 pawns up, and his 2 pieces are not enough compensation here. So I double on the 7th rank. Let's see, he goes with the check, and king h2, and he went bishop d5, which is kind of interesting. It keeps my rook from getting easily back for the defense. The other rook can come back, and also sets up this kind of mating pattern, or potentially it's not a mate because I can walk away from this one, but there's also some drawing ideas there too. So a good practical play, I guess, from black. So I started walking my king away from these threats, and then he played g5, trying to seal my king in. But, well, as I mentioned at one later point in the game, he seems to be just looking at his own threats and not looking at mine. So can you see what I can play in this position, which I actually didn't play during the game, but would certainly be a good move at this point. Okay, I'm going to give the answer away now. Yeah, you should notice this. There's 2 rooks here on the 7th rank, and his king is on the 8th rank with no pieces around. You look for mates. And there's 2 mates here. Either rook going to the 7th rank or to the 8th rank is a mate. He hasn't got any pieces to interpose with. And believe it or not, I missed that. I went for the check. Well, I was low on time, but not. That's really no excuse because I wasn't that low. You know, there should always be enough time to spot a mate in one. Anyway, I played rook g7 check. He went king f8. I went f3. I was still worried about what was going on down here. And after he played this g5 move, you know, he had the threat of a perpetual with the rook. So this f3 move gives my king an escape square this way. Let's see. He went knight to d4. The chess engine says actually after this this move here with the check, he can actually get a draw. Let's see. Yeah, his king has to come to g1 to prevent the mate, and he can maneuver with his rook. So it's not like it's a simple draw, but the chess engine gives us as a line which is just dead equal. So that was his last chance to get some kind of equal position. He went knight d4, ganging up on the f-pawn, and I went rook to h7, threatening mate. And this mate I saw because I was intentionally playing that move to threaten mate, and he didn't deal with it. In fact, actually, it wasn't quite a mate threat because he was going to have to bring his bishop back. But I saw the idea that if he, for example, took the knight and I play the check, he has to bring the bishop back, and then I can grab the knight at least and gain some material. But instead he played knight to e6, which may be one of the worst moves on the board because it blocked the bishop from coming back and defending the mate. And so I mated him, and that's how the game ended. So it was a just result in the end, I felt, but certainly I could have, I should have spotted the earlier mate. And also there was that one point where I got confused and played an unnecessarily complicated line when I could have just taken the e-pawn. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this, and I will see you again soon.